So that we have it on the record, say your name.
WALLACE, W-A-L-L-A-C-E.
You go ahead. Are you rolling?
Okay, ready? Okay, WALLACE, W-A-L-L-A-C-E, Gator, G-A-T-O-R, Bradley, B-R-A-D-L-E-Y.
And do you want to go by Wallace or by Gator, or
Well,
what you more comfortable?
whatever, I'm comfortable with either one. President Clinton, he called me Gator, so I'm comfortable with that. However way you feel what your flow is, you know.
Okay, all right. So tell me, Gator, how did you get started sort of in this political consultant business for judges?
Well, I started, politically speaking, when Cook County Commissioner Jerry Butler ran for office. And I always wanted to promote him as an entertainer. And I ended up becoming a campaign manager for him, one of his campaign managers. So I got into the game of getting people elected. It was from a voluntary basis. Then later on, when we did the gang peace summits in Chicago, in order to stop the guys from killing each other up and down State Street, and we used a slang or a slogan, put down the bullet, pick up the ballot, in order to help Carl Mosey Brown become the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Fast forward, I do attorney pension, then judge pension. I got into the judicial elections and the interest of it when Michael Hyman was running for office to be elected judge. He was appointed first to be elected judge. And we were in the committeemen's meeting, myself, Judge Pencham, all the committeemen, myself and Judge Pencham and a couple other consultants. We were the only ones that weren't committeemen. And they said that it would be hard for Hyman to be elected countywide because he was Jewish. There hadn't been a Jewish judge elected in a long time. Once he got elected judge, there hadn't been a Jewish person elected judge for 12 years. So Judge Pencham and myself, we counted the numbers. And we realized we should help form a coalition of Jewish committeemen and African American committeemen. And they had the most weighted votes for him to get on the ballot. And that's when it started. And he said, I'd like for you to join my campaign as a consultant to help me come into the community, African American community. At first, he just thought I was just tied into just the African American community, a small segment of that community. Thought that it was gang members, part of that community, and then realized I was a part of the fabric of the African American community. He realized I was taking him to black lawyers. Well, then it dawned on him, why else would Judge Pencham have me if he didn't do it? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Make a long story short, he realized that I do other committeemen. Committeeman Mail, Chairman Burke, Chairman Barrios, Solis, and we walked down the streets in the black communities, and he said, Gator, you know about a lot of people. It wasn't just African American. He saw my spirit, and one of the things he realized, I didn't solicit him. He came to me. And I went to asking him questions to see if he was a very valuable, ethical type of guy for me to even push as a candidate. And he found that fascinating. And we ran. And it was deep. It was like the individual that was trying to stop him from winning. One of the guys was named Jackson. He was a state's attorney, assistant state's attorney. Me and Hyman clicked because it was like the Jewish Georgia community is pretty much to me like the African American community. There's always someone that was putting something on their neck, telling them what they couldn't have. I guess that go back to the Holocaust piece or whatever that is. And he was so short. We were about the same height, and we'd run against a guy this tall and a machine this tall. And we won. We beat Saxon by, I think, almost 60,000 votes. They made an issue of Judge Hyman hiring me. Front page of the Sun-Times read that Judge Hyman hired this former, I guess, gang warlord or whatever it is, a photographer, took one of them old, I guess, thuggish pictures of me, you know. And it worked because it made the electorate, who never paid attention to the judicial elections, get involved, and I was getting educated. That's when I realized the power that state supreme judges have. You know what I'm saying? That's when I realized that when I see Judge Conkle on the bench, and he was one of the assistant state's attorneys that was involved in the cover-up of the torture of 125 African-American men. You know what I'm saying? Then even once he had became the judge, he even wrote a letter to the federal judge during sentencing time for John Burge, who he knew was involved in the torture of over 125 African-American men. The Chicago Reader, I did a story called Justice is Blind. And that piqued my interest in the judicial system. When you were seeing how, I believe it was a Judge Ford, who was assistant state's attorney, and then involved in interrogating or writing the confession of one of the guys that was tortured. And the guy that was tortured, his case come back to the court. And Ford, I believe it was Ford, he was the judge. And he dismissed it because he knew what he did as assistant state's attorney. And then an appellate court judge what can I say? She didn't reverse the decision because she knew Ford and she was assistant state's attorney.
So is that what you're looking for when you're trying to get involved with the selection of judges?
Well, I think what it is, everyone, not just myself, not just African American community, everyone feel like they don't know who the judges are. They don't know who the people running for the judges are. They don't know nothing about the judges. And everybody gonna have to come before a judge sooner or later, be it the president, be it me. You know what I'm saying? And I think I realize there's two different issues. There's some people that feel like they shouldn't be appointed, it should be a certain type of system better than the one that they have now. You know what I'm saying? I think my interest piqued a lot of people's interest. When they realized this last election, I think I may have been responsible for aiding and assisting the election of maybe 9 or 10 judges. I think only one lost that I was working with, and that was Joy Cunningham, when she was running for Supreme Court. You know, so now I realize, regardless of who I was in the past, former gang enforcer, friend of Larry Hoover, instrumental in stopping violence, it made me feel good when Judge Hyman said I was worthy of being hired by him to help him get elected. You know what I mean? Then other clients start coming. It wasn't where I knock on their door and say, hey, buddy, you want to run for judge? Come to me. One of my greatest triumphs this last election was helping a gentleman by the name of Carl Boyd get elected to the sub-circuit. Carl Boyd, I remember him when he was a young And we had a thing that if an individual was going to school, he got a pass in the community. If he was playing basketball, football, baseball, we used to put them in a circle to everybody. When you see these guys, they have free everything. You know, they can get around everywhere. Whatever you're doing, you stop, you let them go. We did that hoping that some of the guys that wanted to be gun-ho gangbangers would say, well, if they get free pass a day, somebody, then let me go to school. He went on to school, graduated from Julian, graduated from college, successful lawyer. And then he said, he had ran for alderman. And he said, hey, Gator, they want to run for judge. I'm going to help you. And he got elected. You follow what I'm saying? So it's a wonderful thing because I guess as you know, that judicial piece has their own fraternity and sorority type of thinking, their own form of governance. Even to the point, there's one lawyer I hope never become a judge. That's NOBLE-AMEER. I watched him stand before a judge for over a year and never filed an appearance for his clients, nor paid a fee. And therefore, his clients should have lost that case by default. The judge in that case then reported to ARDC. You know what I mean? I mean, when I got into this world, for lack of a better phrase, you know, it made me realize that everyone needs to pay attention to the judicial elections. They need to pay attention to what the American Bar Association, who they recommend, you know, so.
Well, how does it work? I mean, if I'm sitting back sort of naive and, you know, all of this is going on, how does it work? If I want to be a judge here, what do I have to do?
Well, first off.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
Got me? Okay. Way far away.
Right. First off, you would have to go before the various bars, the Jewish bar, the gay and lesbian bar, the women bar, so many bars that you feel like you want to drink, but you got to go before them. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The next thing you have to do, you have to go and meet the commitment. There's 80 commitments in Cook County. You have to meet those commitments. Each commitment has a way vote. You know what I'm saying? They'll be tallied up to make the decision who should be on the ballot. Then you have to hire someone like me, a consultant, me, myself, an urban translator, to show them that you have to want to be a non-biased judge. The only way you can be that is you have to know about the various communities of the people that may come before you. And that's my job. I deal with the visibility aspect. I make sure, like I did with Jesse Reyes, he's Justice Jesse Reyes now. I helped him to become the first Latino or Hispanic elected appellate court judge.
Is it as simple as I got to be seen in the right communities and with the right people?
Of course, but it's always up to the voting. What I mean by that, when a lot of my clients were seen by me, they drew a scrutiny. Why are you with Gator? Do you know who Gator is? Do you know what it is? At the same time, say, yeah. He's an individual that got a pardon from Governor Jim Thompson. Okay, he's been out of the penitentiary for 30 years. And at that same time, we have an electorate that sometimes don't even waste their time to even elect the judge. Or during this election, they may not even point a judge out. They may go by the name and see how it sounds. One individual that come to mind is Judge Rowley. A lot of people thought he was Irish, so they elected him. And when he came in to get his robe, and they realized he's African American, they were shocked. You know what I mean? So what I do, I bring them to the forum. I let them talk to the people. I bring them to the various debates. Regardless of what community. It can be Polish, African American, Hispanic, makes no difference. Jesse Reyes was one of the best candidates I was ever blessed to campaign for. And we were running against an African American. And the one thing that was fascinating about Jesse Reyes, he was a paid member of the NAACP in African American Muslim. You follow what I'm saying? He donated stuff to the African American community on the south side and the west side. African American, they just run against it. So it means for an individual to deal with the various communities.
How much does money come into play?
It comes into play all the time. I mean, I was able to pay a cable bill. That's when I realized that, hey, Judge Hyman allowed me publicly, when Pension got out the hospital bed and had that press conference here on, allowed me publicly to be paid for the first time as a consultant in a judicial race. And at that point, I realized the urban translator was no longer a nickname, but a profession. And because of his statute as former president of Chicago Bar Association, his statute within the Jewish community, his statute as a lawyer, he was a caring and giving man. And when I interviewed him, as opposed to him interviewing me, he knew then that I had character, that I believe in morals, that I believe in ethics. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw the judicial piece from another point of view. I saw it as a defendant.
When you look, though, at the whole idea with judges, sort of, you try to keep them removed from the political aspect of it, yet to get elected, they have to play a role in that whole political aspect. How much does your need to assuage people in the Democratic Party and other things play a role in all?
It plays a big role because there's a lot of things that individuals run for the judiciary they can't do like other politicians that's running. You know, they have an ethical line that they really can't cross. There's a certain kind of way that they have to even solicit funds. You know what I'm saying? They can't do it like aldermen or whatever that is, you know. There's certain things that they can't say based on the certain issues that may come before them. You know, like, only time they can deal with, I'm just being hypothetical, they can deal with issues like abortion or whatever that is, if it's a question that's asked during a debate or when they come before a forum. You know what I mean? They can't go and solicit money from people who's for abortion or people who's against abortion, where an alderman or any other person in office, they can openly solicit money from you, you know.
But
This
they
past,
still get their money.
Go.
But they still have to get money.
Yeah, they got to get money. Well, a lot of them be coming out their own pocket. You know, they may have fundraisers, okay, the legal community gonna do what they can to help get judges elected. You got the Trial Lawyers Association, you got all kind of associations that be helping. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they have an interest. They got cases that may come before a judge.
And do they have to pay the Democratic Party?
Well, that's a record. Of course they do. I mean, if you want to, I mean, that's overbooked. That ain't no secret. You know what I'm saying? That's everybody know that. You know, that's open book.
Do you know how much?
No. My concern when so much of that was their concern with the county board chairman, Cook County, what is it, Democratic Party, Chicago Democratic Party. Just being hypothetical. Say if, in order to get the mailings out, the phone banks, or whatever it is, for the visibility or whatever, say it costs $100, okay? And you got 5 guys running. We need $100 to get this out, and we put all your names on this here, $20 a piece. That's better than one guy having to pay $100 to try to get his little job.
Do you think you could sort of tick off the names of all the different judges that you've worked to help get elected over the years?
I may miss some of the names, but it's a matter of public record. All they got to do is check the D2s of all the judges. Judge Hyman, Justice House, Carl Boyd, Jesse Riaz, one of my old professors, Russ Hardigan, Jessica O'Brien, what's his name? He's gonna kill me. Terrence Lavin, Joy Cunningham, she was up in the Supreme Court. And for all you guys I can't remember, I got you D2. But I thank you for allowing me to help you.
So that's kind of what you get out of it. Do you always try to find a judge who, if you're going to represent them or work with them, that you think should be elected? Or have you ever...
Well, I'll put it this way. There are some guys that now that I'm well-versed and somewhat seasoned and know how to do my research, I could never push for a Judge Congress to be reelected or retained. I couldn't push for Dick DeBryan.
Have you ever represented anyone that you
No.
realized later I shouldn't have done that?
No. No.
What do they get from hiring you?
They get elected.
And in what way? Is it just because you know people in the community? But how do you sell them to the voter?
Easy. First off, the voter is going to see this. If they're willing to hire Gator to assist them, and we know Gator, there's something right or fair that Gator sees in that candidate. I let the voters know this. Anyone that I assist to win, he's going to be fair to the dictates to the Illinois and United States Constitution. He ain't going to do no favors for you because Gator helped him. If you broke the law, you got a right to a fair trial and a fair prosecution. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I expect of anyone that's running for judge. But when you see, and I keep coming back to Concord. Concord prosecuted the Wilson brothers, knowing that it was tortured by John Burge. He defended John Burge in a suit against the Wilson brothers, and then came back in as special prosecutor to prosecute the Wilson brothers almost at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And that's wrong. You know, that's wrong. That gives a black eye to our judiciary. You know what I mean? Really. Illinois Torture and Relief Commission come back with a decision and said that 5 guys like Gerald Reed, George Anderson, and 3 others were tortured. And then you have judges that was a part of the system, that was a part of the state's attorney's office.
But you can't really get them out very easily once they're retained.
Well, it's like this. I think, because you're right, but I've seen where some judges didn't get retained. And I'm learning the judicial system. That sometimes don't mean because they didn't get elected or re-elected that they don't end up back on the bench. I read a couple of articles. I was like, wow, okay. You lost, but hey, I think you ought to be back. And I say, well, then why did you run? But it's the same in my community. Don't hate the game, hate the player. you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just glad that a lot of people in the African community now are paying a lot of attention to the judicial races.
Do you think the person in black has, with the black robe, has sort of a different standard than an alderman or somebody else in terms of
Yeah, they do.
election? And how so?
An alderman, you come in his office or her office, don't have the same power when you come into a courtroom that a judge has. I witnessed that in Commissioner Beaver's case, where the judge had the power to dictate and decide what evidence he could use in his defense. Aldermen don't have that godly power that a judge has.
But they're
Well,
elected the same way.
it may be, but still, like I said earlier, judges are held, or candidates running for judges are held to an ethical and a moral standard more so than any other elected official when they're running. You follow what I'm saying? There's certain things, I think judicial candidates get screened and scrutinized more than any other elected official.
Do you, just sort of off topic a little bit, but do you deal with the unions at all in your efforts?
Well, yeah, I'll take my candidate, I want them to get endorsed by the union. You know what I'm saying? The same way like I would take them to the commitment to get endorsed by that commitment, to get endorsed by the full Cook County Democratic, party. Yeah.
Do the unions have any more power than some of these organizations? Are there certain unions that are more powerful than others?
Well, as far as union power, I've only seen myself one union that has power, and that's the Chicago Teachers Union.
Guys, is there anything you want to bring up or ask? And you need to address it to me.
I got
even
you.
though
I
they're
got you. I got you.
So, we've heard from candidates mostly. The thing that they get troubled by is the politics and how you draw the balance, and describe going to like committee meetings where other candidates will say, I've always been loyal to the party, you know that.
Yeah, I just saw that with, y'all just saw that too with the Supreme Court
Right.
thing with, Tice. Well, that's how it go. If they've been loyal, that's how it would go. That's how it would go. If they were being loyal, if that's what they thought they were supposed to say, you got candidates that when they come before the body, they try to sell themselves. Hey, buddy, I've been loyal to the party. This person said, the heck with you guys. I've never said the heck with you guys. He said, screw you guys. I mean, if I was a candidate, I'd be saying the same thing. Hey, he don't love you. I do. So, love me back. So that's what I think the candidates be saying.
Right, but doesn't that create a situation where the party and the committeemen are picking people who they think will be on their side in their
Well,
ruling?
I'll put it this way, man. I mean,
That's okay.
miss, I'll put it this way. It's been that way a long time from what I'm reading. Only time the rules changed is when Rahm Emanuel ran for mayor. He changed the rules where it says if you don't live in a certain area, you can't go, and the rules been in effect since, 18 something. And he changed it by perception that, hey, the person that don't want me there will have the decision in court, and I'm not getting a fair shake. He put that perception in the people's mind, the same way like that candidate would come before that Democratic Party and say, hey, this guy don't like you, I do. He put that in the people's mind, and the people felt like if we don't let him bend the rules, or if we don't elect him, you know what I'm saying? It goes. The candidate is selling themselves before the body that they want to get endorsed by. That don't mean that that body owns them. I'm like this. Just because I help a candidate get elected, don't mean I'm looking for anything special from that candidate. No more than a fair trial, a fair prosecution from a non-biased jury or justice or judge.
Anything else, special? Steve? It's great. Let's get just a wider shot here,
Okay.
and then, as I said, we'll go down to David's
Yeah, on Tuesday. I'll see you there,
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you'll recognize us easily.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll meet you down on the north side.
Okay. And the north side, that's on Randolph?
Yep.
Randolph and Clark?
Yeah, we'll meet
Okay.
you there. And I need you to look at me for a
Sure.
little bit, because he's
Okay.
getting a wider shot at this point,
Okay.
and that kind of thing. And I just, I think as Steve has mentioned, and as Rick and I are working on it too, we're just trying to take a look and understand this sort of industry, because most people, I don't think, know how judges get elected.
They don't.
And mostly, they don't even know the names of these
They don't,
judges or
they don't care.
qualifications.
I've heard so many people in this last election